Okay, record 5. Keywords: a quadrilateral, the masters of the world, a pleasantly useful function. Again, something's not right here. Again, I've been talking to you, my unknown reader, as though, well, let's say that as though you were my old comrade R-13, the poet with African lips, a person everyone knows. Meanwhile, you, on the moon, on Venus, on Mars, on Mercury, who knows you? Where and who are you? Here's the thing. Imagine a quadrilateral, a living, beautiful square, and this quadrilateral is asked to describe itself, its existence. But you see, the last thing that would occur to the quadrilateral mind would be to mention its 4 equal angles. It just doesn't see them. They're just a given every day. Well, that's me, permanently in that sort of quadrilateral predicament. Whether it's business of the pink ticket or something similar, to me it's all equivalent of 4 angles, but for you it may be more vividly evident than Newton's binomial theorem. So here goes. Some ancient sage once said something clever, accidentally of course. Love and hunger are the masters of the world. Ergo, to take control of the world, man must take control of the masters of the world. Our ancestors finally conquered hunger with a heavy cost. I am talking about the 200-year war, the war between city and countryside. It is likely that savage Christians stubbornly clung to their broad, out of religious prejudice. But in the 35th year before the founding of one state, our modern petroleum-based food was invented. True, only 0.2% of the population of the earthly sphere survived, but in exchange for all that, the cleansing of 1,000-year-old filth. How glistening the face of the earth has become. In exchange for all that, this 0.2% has tasted bliss in the rampers of the one state. Isn't it clear that bliss and envy, they are the numerator and the denominator of the fraction known as happiness? Like that quote. And what would be the point of those countless sacrifices in the 200-year war if in our life there still remained good reason for enviousness? But it did remain, because noses were still button noses and classical noses, our prior conversation on the walk, and because some achieved the love of many, but many achieved the love of none. So it's natural that having subjugated hunger algebraically equals the sum of material goods, and the one state began an offensive against the other master of the world, against love. Finally, even this natural force was also conquered, i.e., organized and mathematized. Around 300 years ago, our historical lex sexualis was proclaimed. Each cipher has a right to any other cipher as sexual product, and the rest are technicalities. You are thoroughly examined in laboratories of the Bureau of Sex, and the exact sexual hormone content of your blood is determined, and then they generate a corresponding table of sex days for you. Then you make a statement that on your given day you would like to make use of this or that cipher and receive the appropriate ticket, pink. And that's it. It's clear. If there is no good reason for enviousness, then the denominator of the fraction of happiness is brought to 0, and the fraction is transformed into a glorious infinity. And that very thing, which was to the ancients a source of innumerable silly tragedies, has been converted into harmonic, pleasantly useful function of the organism. Sorry about that. Exactly like sleep, physical labor, ingestion, defecation, and the rest. From this you will see how the great strength of logic purifies everything, no matter what it touches. Oh, if only you unknown people could also know this divine strength. If only you could learn to follow it through. Strange, I was writing today about the highest of heights in the human history, and all the while breathing the cleanest mountain of air of thought. But meanwhile, there were clouds and cobwebs, and across, some kind of 4-pawed X inside me. Maybe it was my own paws, since they were in front of me on the table all this time, my shaggy paws. I don't like talking about them, and I don't like them. They are evidence of the savage epoch. Could there actually be within me? I wanted to cross out that last part because it goes beyond the bounds of my pre-selected keywords for this record. But then I decided I won't cross anything out. Let my records, like most of the sensitive seismograph, produce the crooked line of even the most insignificant brain oscillations. Sometimes it is exactly these oscillations that serve as a forewarning of, okay, this is really absurd. This is really actually should be crossed out. We have channeled all the forces of nature. There cannot be any future catastrophes. And now everything is clear to me. That strange feeling inside is all due to that very quadratic predicament of mine about which I spoke at the beginning of this record. And there is no X in me. It's not possible. It is simply that I'm afraid that some kind of X exists in you, unknown readers of mine. But I believe you won't judge me too harshly. I believe you will understand that it is more difficult for me to write than for any other author in the course of all human history. Some wrote for their contemporaries, others for their descendants, but no one ever wrote for their ancestors or beings who resemble their distant savage ancestors.